Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to the latest episode of TurfCast podcast with, of course, myself, Joe Redmond, and Simon Townley. Now, you might notice if you're listening on your favourite podcast app, like the majority of you do, I've done the intro a little bit different today. That's going to normally say good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you're listening to this. But we are live on YouTube at the minute as well. So everybody who's watching it on YouTube right now will think, why is he saying good morning? Why is he saying good morning? But that's why I've not said it this week. But hello to everyone watching on YouTube. Hello to everybody listening or watching at a later date. Hope you're all well. Like I said, I'm joined by Simon. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm very well, mate. Excited for it. It's the first.
Well, it's you that keeps you keep asking for it and stuff, don't you? So I just thought I always said like we'd do something on YouTube when we first got to 100 subscribers, and we got to that this week on 107 now actually. So we're on 95 for like 2 weeks, and then I put like a roll call out saying, "Come on, get liking us. Come on, get subscribed." And quite a few people did. So thank you to everybody who did that. But yeah, so I just thought live podcast, live sort of like Q&A if people want to get involved in questions. If you're watching on YouTube, by the way, please think of some questions, put them in the chat now, and we'll come back to them and answer them once we've finished talking about what we're going to talk about. But first, a big shout out to Burnley Football Club because they gave us the perfect piece of content by announcing that Ben Mee had signed a contract extension half an hour until we went live. You were shaking your head then. Are you aware of that? I hope you are.
No, well, I was unaware as to what you was going to say is what my problem was, and then now I know. So yeah, I did know that. Usually, for those that might have been the first time listening, Joe throws these little trumps in there of like, oh yeah, did you know about that? I'm like, what are you on about? But no, so thankfully I did know about that one.
What are your thoughts then?
Oh, it's kind of a joke that we left it as long as we did, like to trigger that contract. He should be begging him to stay for the next 5 years, not just giving him a year because he's that much of a vital part of the squad, back room, everything. You know what I mean? He's not just on the pitch, is he? So
well, he's a club captain, isn't he? So yeah, exactly. I think we're a club captain. That sort of role. Yeah, that sort of role. You know, you've got to do things that you do on the pitch. You've got to do the things that you do off the pitch, man. The way you responded to the banner was a perfect example of like a captain leading by example. Whether you agree with the banner or not, that's a different matter altogether. But the way you came out and spoke for the football club and spoke very, very well and articulately, and you know, faced the cameras at a difficult time. That's what a captain needs to do. And he's been fantastic on the pitch as well. He's had a good season.
Yeah, mate. He's not just that, is it? He's been a 10-year, but how long's he been here now? I just made 10 years up, by the way. But he's been here a long time. And
long time. I'm not gonna. You chat shit. I'll quickly have a look.
Just the fact that, like you said, he's part of the furniture, isn't he? And keeping people like Ben
Could you imagine him in another team's like top? It's not right, is it? They joined Burnley in 2012, so he's not far off, mate. And this will see him. This will see him to 10 years. So the 2022, that is going to be here for 10 years then.
Well, there's not many people in my lifetime that have even earned the right for a testimonial, but he's earned the right tenfold. Let's put it that way.
Back in the day, we had a few, didn't we? I remember Branchy having one.
Who did we play with United?
No, Branches were weird. Branches were a weird one. I didn't actually go on Branches. I was doing something. We played Man United in somebody's. Did we not have like a match for Stan? Like not a traditional testimonial, but something like that. I can't remember. But I remember going on quite a few back in the day. Michael Duff, I think, got one.
I can't remember who got one for what, but like I said, there's not many times people even qualify for it, but he certainly has years and in sort of loyalty. But he's a class player, and you can't let anyone like that go lightly. So I'm glad we've sorted it out and not let it done. And I think as well, a couple of years ago.
Well, not do what we did a couple of weeks ago as well. We're letting Hendrick and all the rest of them leave. I mean, Hendrick will probably be the only one that I think most people would be a little bit annoyed about leaving. Some people won't, obviously, but a lot of the people that did leave, we just thought, not too bothered if the likes of Lennon and Joe Hart leave.
Watching you live now.
Yeah, he's not a big fan, is he? But that's something I was going to make. That's something I was going to bring up, and it's a good point that you've made. I think it shows the bigger picture that the board have maybe learnt from their mistakes of leaving it too late, because his contract was due to run out at the end of 2022. At 2021, so at the end of next summer. And now it's obviously, like I say, extended till 2022. So this is what they didn't do with Jeff Hendrick and stuff. They just let it run and run and run. Then they're offering him deals in October and January, and then May as well. So I think they've learnt from the mistake. I think as well. I think it shows that.
Well, it's not like we were waiting to see where we were next season, because obviously we've been safe for a long time. So there'll be a reason, I guess, that it's waited till the end of the season until they cemented that deal. But you can't not sign players like that. I reiterate it. It's ridiculous to even think about letting them contracts run out.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And he's he's a different sort of concept in the fact that he is the club captain. But it's brilliant to see that we've got him tied down. We've had his first comment on YouTube as well. I think it's Chris Harris. His name on here is Haha Harris. I presume that's you, Chris. He says, Ben Mee, new deal. Yes, but that brings it on nicely to... I put a post out saying, what are your thoughts on the new Ben Mee contract extension? We will read out all of the responses in our live podcast, which gets started in half an hour, because at the time it was going to get started in half an hour. And we're obviously live now, so that's no longer factual. So you need to be quick to get your responses read out. Jimmy Mac and Cheese says he's the heart and soul of the club, always happy to put his body on the line, dead proud of his response to the plane banner, almost as good as a new signing. Dobry Dan says expect 100% positivity, to be honest, from him, and will be a well-deserved testimonial, which is something you've just spoken about in due course. You know what? I was going to mention it while you were talking about it, but Kevin Long's been here for 10 years, and we never had him a testimonial. Now, I know you're shaking your head, and I understand why. I'm not sure many
testimonial fans this season. He's had his testimonial.
Yeah, I'm not sure many fans that have gone on. Some people would have done, obviously. Some people will go on anything if it's at the turf, anything to do with Burnley Football Club, but never thought about giving him one. Not done enough on the pitch then for you? No, I can't disagree with that. I just thought I'd be a little bit contra.
There's staff members at Turf Moor that deserve it more than some people that have been there 30, 40 years. They deserve a testimonial.
Yeah, true. Chris IWGP, Chris BFC on Twitter says, I'm delighted with this. Burnley legend re-signing is great news, and it shows the board realise that they can't leave it till the last minute like last time, which is what I said. Chris Harris, who's also just put on Twitter saying it is me, Joe. So there you go. I've read one of your comments out twice. Peter Brunskill says, it's as good as a new signing. We missed him on Sunday. We wouldn't have conceded the second goal if he was there. Now, we'll get into the Brighton game in a little minute, actually, Peter. But I don't necessarily disagree with that. Corey, BFC Corey says, just sexy. Can't argue with that. Mr. DePunzel says, brilliant news, but he's going to have tough competition from Gibson next season. And then a laughing face, so he's obviously taking the piss. Harry Picture 08 says, this is the best news of 2020. Sue Ashworth says, amazing news. He's a massive asset to the club. It would be stupid not to offer him an extension. He deserves it. One of our most hard-working players when he is not injured. Harvey says, great business, our leader. Dom Joe Mack says, I'm buzzing with this. He's fantastic on and off the pitch. And Manchester at Baggy Mank says, great move from the management. Fantastic player and a fantastic captain. Also spoke on behalf of every decent fan after the Man City game. So, yeah, he's obviously referring to the playing banner there. But a lot of fans, of course, agreeing with me and you.
Well, a couple of points from that. I mean, I started saying it earlier, but we went off on track. But, like, keeping Ben Gibson out is not... Like, people don't look at that as for what it actually is. You know, he's not a shit bit part player that we signed to try and sort of squeeze him in one day. He was there to actually fight for that place, and he's not even had a sniff. So It's all right. Whatever your opinion is of the Ben Gibson situation, people keeping him out like Ben Mee is just testament to how well he's done. But I was just thinking then, like, about my favourite Ben Mee moment. I don't know if you've got any. Have you got a favourite Ben Mee moment?
It's got to be the line block with his face at Reading, hasn't it? It's got to be that. I mean, he doesn't even think twice. He doesn't think, well, this is going to hurt. He doesn't think, well, this is my face. That's stupid. If it were me, this is why I'm sat here on a bed from IKEA rather than, you know, on a football pitch. But if it were me, I'd have been like diving the other way out with the ball. You know what I mean? Like, and most people would have done with any sense. I do, to be fair. I've had a few balls to the face. Footballs, by the way. That's what I mean with that one. But I think, well, what else is there? There's obviously his goal at Palace. I really enjoyed simply because, you know, he don't get many goals. To be fair, does Ben Mee? Yeah, he doesn't get many goals. And then the celebration as well. I enjoyed the celebration because he obviously dedicated it to his premature newborn daughter, and it showed how much he'd been going through, like during lockdown and stuff, and things like that. But yeah, there's been a few down the years. You were going to say the Reading one, though. Have you got any others?
No, that's by far my favourite. There's been a few last.
What about the Wesley tackle? That were good.
There's a man with brittle bones. I can't even watch that replay.
It's not a good frame, but it's a brilliant tackle.
West Ham.
Last season.
Joe Hart came out. They've shot, and we're at Ben Mee that we were running back, and he literally jumped up and it was going in, and he headed
I'm not sure
line.
if it were against West Ham. It could have been. My memories. But I do remember that moment. I do remember him jumping up and doing something like that.
It were in. We'd all resigned ourselves, and Joe Hart's out of position.
Shock.
And Ben Mee's just like, I didn't even see Ben Mee getting it. Never mind, but he's saving it.
Yeah, it just shows how well he reads the game, that doesn't it? Because Chris Harris, don't know where I got Ben from. Chris Harris says the Joe Gomez tackle. Now that were another one where he won the ball, but it just this is what I like about Ben Mee. This is what I like about Ben Mee. For some reason, he has fans of other clubs, some other clubs on strings. Like Villa fans hate him, Liverpool fans hate him. Simply because he's a good defender. Because they might go, oh well, he injured our player for X amount of months or whatever. Both of them tackles were good tackles. He won the ball on both occasions. Yeah, he might be a little bit forceful, but he's forceful within the law. It's not like he's leaving the ground. The Wesley one as well, he won the ball. Is that what did I say?
Sorry, I thought I didn't hear that bit. But it were a bit crackly then. But that challenge, oh my days, mate, it made me turn in my stomach. It's pretty
the challenge itself. I know what you mean. The challenge itself, I look at it and I don't see anything too wrong with it. But when you see the freeze frame of his knee bending and his ankle under it, then it looks bad. But if I slipped and fell over near you or something, that'd look bad. You know what I mean? A freeze frame can make a tackle look bad. But obviously, that's where the injuries come from, and things like that. But both occasions he won the ball. He is. Well, him and Tarky and me, they epitomise Burnley Football Club.
I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me. I don't, because my phone's using the thing. But how many red cards has Ben Mee had at Burnley? Because he's
Let's have a look. I don't know actually. We'll have a look.
He's probably short. He's probably short of about 10 that he could have got in this modern day football and his old fashioned tackles with the added thing of nobody likes Burnley in the refereeing world. So he's probably. I don't remember him getting too many. Is what my point.
I don't remember him getting any. And just looking at in for goal, they're not saying he's ever had any. Someone might tell me wrong if you are listening. But I've never heard of infogol.net. It doesn't sound like it's an English website. So, and it only goes until the 2014-15 season anyway. So he might have had one before then.
But when you see the hard tackles he does, and the fact that we're Burnley in the Premier League, he's surprising really, because we even won the Fair Play League, didn't we, back in the
not too long ago, not too long ago.
When the year they decided that weren't worthy of a European spot anymore.
Yeah, I think me and Jared spoke about this the other day. Actually, your brother, for those that aren't aware of Jared, is he's on the watch along obviously as well, quite regular. But me and Jared talked about this the other day, and I don't think we actually won it. And I think they decided it was in like 3 months left that they decided that wasn't enough anymore. You had to do something else. I think they were scared of us maybe winning it. And then change the rules. But just looking at the last 5 seasons, according to this infogol.net, Ben Mee played 32 times this season, scored 1 goal, had 12 shots, which is interesting. I'm surprised he had that many. Completed 72% of his passes. On average, made 2 tackles per game, but gave away 1 foul per game. So that's interesting. 7 yellow cards throughout the entire season and 0 red cards. He got 10 yellow cards in the Premier League season 2014-15. 9 yellow cards last season. So his disciplinary record's all right to say that he's got fans of Villa and Liverpool on strings.
Yeah, no, mate. Just to summarise, he's an unbelievable asset to Burnley Football Club.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I know I said that this would be sort of like a look back at the season, and it will be. But we've spent 18 minutes talking about Ben Mee, and the next 18 minutes, maybe, who knows, we're going to be talking about the fan time question, because I'm going to obviously put it to you. But as mentioned, in fact, we haven't mentioned it yet. Our sponsors of this are actually Pitch Sport, and I've just remembered I can do these banners. The things that I have on the video. There you go.
There they are.
There you go. There it is. I forgot to do it live. I forgot to do it. So apologies to Pitch Sport and Athletic, who I'll put theirs up in a minute as well. But I won't be editing them on at the start because I'm not editing this video. That's the best thing about doing this podcast, by the way, live, is that I don't actually have to edit it.
My shirt anymore.
Well, sit up then. Go on. Sit up properly.
There we go. My posture's not made that way.
Hold on, I'll drop my phone.
Where's he gone?
There we go. I'm back. Here we are. Right. Yeah, what were I saying? Yeah, fan time. So we are sponsored, as you can mention, by Pitch Sports. They are our sponsors. Please go and download the app on the Google Store or App Store, iTunes Store, whatever you use to use your apps, to download your apps. It's like a fan hub where you can sort of like talk to other fans, put your opinions across and things like that, choose teams, predict results, all that sort of thing, and then give your man of the match and stuff after the games. But obviously every week I do what's called a fan time question. Here is my video. It's not the best freeze frame.
I love the freeze frames on you, by the way. They're always
It winds me up though. They always do a graphic, right? And I ask them to do it. I do ask them to do the graphic, but it's always when I'm like that. Just choose a better freeze frame. They don't care. They don't. Honestly, it's not them that's on the line. It's me. Brilliant. So this week I asked. I'll put the question to you first before we talk about people's responses. I asked, who is your player of the year this season? It's a nice, simple one this week. All I want to know is, who is your player of the year? If you are watching on YouTube now, we have quite a few people watching live. Please comment your player of the year. I'll read them out when Simon's given us his, and I've done mine, and we've read out the ones on Pitch Sport, because, of course, they come first. They're our sponsors. So, Simon, who is your player of the season?
Do you know, it's a difficult one, because usually there's a standout one for me. Like Dwight, for example, when he came in the scene and he just flew through it. Pope. There's 3 or 4 it could be this year, but for me, I'm going to go with Tarky.
Ben Mee.
Because, for me, it's going to be Tarky, because few reasons, but the main ones for me is he's gone from sort of like being next to Ben Mee to suddenly leading that line this season in the defence.
Yeah,
he's stepped up as a captain in the last few games, and probably if that was a competitive role being the captain, which it's not, you'd be wondering if he was going to get the captain's armband next year. That's how well he's done while he's been in that role. But yeah, just stood out, and I think that he's put himself in a really good position in the shot window, which is not good for Burnley, but he's shown himself to be one of the best English centre halves, and I don't understand how he's not the main centre half in England squad at the minute.
I don't understand how he's not even in. There's players out there that you could argue could be the main centre half in the England squad ahead of him.
Yeah,
I mean, I do agree with you though. But I mean, how he's not even in the squad? How is he not even in? It's an absolute fucking travesty that he isn't in that England squad. Honestly, it is. And people can hide behind he's not that good with the ball at his feet. Number one, he actually is. He's good with the ball at his feet. He might not be as good. Yeah, but whereas he's calm as out. Exactly, whereas he's calm as out. He's class with the ball at his feet. Yeah, granted, he might not be as good as some players in the England squad with the ball at his feet, but he's a better defender. And it's his job to make sure that people don't get chances behind him and get in behind him or get headers on the goal or get shots on target and things like that. That's his job. And that's exactly what he does. He is class. And I agree with you. My player of the season is Tarkowski. For me, I think without him, I know Nick Pope's done very, very well, and I do feel harsh not giving it Nick. I feel really harsh not giving it Nick, because he's been classed. To be second in the Golden Glove race is an absolutely phenomenal achievement.
More comes to the Golden Glove than just a keeper.
Yeah, I get exactly. But that's the point. Tarkowski's top of the clearances for the Premier League, and potentially up there in headers as well. I'm not sure. I haven't got the stats in front of me, which is a nice get out. But for me, it's Tarky. I think a lot of the reason why Pope does so well and the rest of the defenders is because Tarky's in front of him. Now, I'm not saying Pope isn't a class goalkeeper. Of course he is.
No. But like I said,
but I think Tarky for me, the lad's an absolute Rolls Royce. Yeah, the lad's an absolute Rolls Royce, and he's the best defender I've seen at Burnley, I think, in my lifetime. I can't think of anyone else. The only person I think could come closer would be Michael Keane and Ben Mee. People, should I say, would be Michael Keane and Ben Mee, but I think he's in my opinion better than them too. Arthur Noyer, of course, he was class. Graham Branch, when he used to play at fullback as well, those were the days. I'll tell you what as well, the player I did used to love when I was growing up was John McGreal. That guy took no shit, man. He was an absolute legend. I think is he still the manager of Colchester? I think he might have got sacked, but that guy's an absolute legend. I always remember once David Nugent were bombing down on goal, and a ball came over the top, and obviously John McGreal were running towards goal, which is, as a defender, you never want to be doing, and the ball's coming over, and Nugent's fast as fuck, man. Well, he was back then. He's probably a little bit slower now. But John McGreal just looked over his shoulder, saw the ball coming, and just did an overhead kick as he's running back to. I remember just being like, "What?" If he'd have missed that, would have been like, I think it was 0-0 at that point as well, and quite early in the game, so we would have.
Because was back in the day where you didn't have defenders on the halfway line. That was when we had our defenders stood on edge of penalty areas still. And they were caught on the halfway with the ball over.
I think they counter-attacked. I think that's what it were. I think a lot of us are out of position. But thank you for everybody that got involved and answered on Fan Time. I have seen all your responses on Twitter as well. Who won the Fan Time?
Who won who would have won the vote from the Fan Time?
Yeah, I'll read them out now. Thank you to everyone who got involved, though, because, like I say, these are our sponsors. It's always nice to keep them happy. And if you want your response read out every single week, just respond to our Fan Time question, and I will read out every single response, as long as it's not homophobic, racist, or whatever.
Because they're payers.
Yes. Well, yes. Johnny T, which I presume is Tatey from the Watch Along, says, easy for me, 100%. James Tarkowski, he is absolutely majestic. Neil Layfield, friend of the podcast. Yeah, he does. He does love him. But no, he didn't put any. He didn't put the eyes emoji, but he does love him. Neil Layfield, friend of the podcast, and he's been on the Watch Along as well with Johnny. Says they're all heroes apart from Gibson. Love that bit. But ultimately, I think Tarky gets it. Consistent all year, chipped in with some goals and showed good leadership when Mee got injured as well. Chris Harris, how many times have I mentioned Chris's name on this podcast now? Tarkowski, 100%.
Listen, Johnny Tate with Tarky.
Tarkowski, 100%. Pope, Wood, Westgate, Dwight and Jay have all been good, but none have been as crucial to us as Tarky. Perfectly put, mate. I agree. I feel harsh not giving it Nick, but I think Tarky's been more important to us this season than Nick has. Burnley Life has said Tarkowski been vital to our success and the defence, and it really looks overloaded. And finally, which is our last one, and our only person on Fan Time who didn't vote for Tarkowski, is Burnley FC Latest. It says Jay Rodriguez secured a lot of important points for this season, like his goal at Anfield and obviously the one at Manchester United as well. So what are your thoughts on them responses then, Simon? You said you wanted to know. I mean, they agree with us. So
I know it's nice though, because often I will say stuff and then you hear stuff and I'm rolling my eyes. I might be internally even saying what the fuck, but they're all right. They agree with me.
I think that's the majority of people's internal thoughts, and they're rolling their eyes. Is what the fuck, innit, to be fair.
Yeah.
But people don't necessarily all agree with us on YouTube though. Forster 1000 says Talks. He does agree with us. Daniel Cullinan, friend of the podcast who comments on a lot of our stuff, says Pope. And Simon Marroos, I presume this is Simon Marroos. Anyway, it's a guy called Simon M. So I presume that's Simon Marroos. Evening, Simon, if that is you, hope you are well. It says Nick Pope for his player of the season. Now, it's easily for me, Tarks or Pope. I wouldn't be overly shocked if Pope got it. I just think for me, Tarky's been the better player. I would be a little bit shocked if J Rod got it. Don't get me wrong, he's been class.
He gets away with murder though, because of we love him. We love J Rod. He could have an average game and he still would have him up for the next game.
Yeah, I mean, it has been class this season, to be fair. I said it on a podcast a few weeks ago, but I'll say it again now because we're live and have a few viewers. But I was underwhelmed, is the word, I think, when we signed him. But he's proven me wrong. He's proven me wrong. He's been fantastic this season. Because he didn't do much at West Brom last year in the Championship, did he? So I remember thinking, maybe he's past it, maybe he's not as good.
I thought he might have been top scorer, but...
Well, he might have been the top scorer for West Brom, but they finished they didn't finish that well. They weren't the top scorer in the Championship or anything like that.
No, I thought that meant for West Brom.
Yeah, but I remember being a bit underwhelmed.
Just because of his,
but he's been fantastic.
And we often said about that Jeff Hendrick playing attacking mid. I hated Jeff Hendrick in the attacking mid role. So as soon as we signed him, I thought, boom, there you go, you've got one. So yeah, I was excited because I preferred him over Jeff in that position.
Yep, fair enough. Simon M says, it is me, Joe. So that's the second time someone's commented on the YouTube video, saying, yes, it is me. Evening, Simon, hope you well.
It's because we appreciate the viewers. We appreciate the listeners.
This is what I've always said. I'm not fussed about TurfCast, the page, having more likes than other Burnley pages out there. It's not something that bothers me. I want to build a community surrounding our view. Exactly. Surrounding our videos, surrounding the people that watch all. I want Chris and Simon Marroos to know each other through TurfCast. I want them to chat to each other in the chat. I want them to, do stuff like that. Build a community like people do on Twitch. This is what they do. They build community around what they're doing. That's what I want to do with TurfCast. So I do appreciate all the people that comment. It is good to see Daniel. It is good to see Simon Marroos. And it is good to see Chris Harris in there as well.
Can we have a TC pre-match drink before next season?
Yes, to all of us. Anywhere with wheelchair access, yeah. So that rules out pretty much everywhere in Burnley. We'll just invite everyone round to your house. There we go. There's his live wheelchair, everybody.
Yeah. Hang on.
Chris says, yes, you are, Joe, stop lying. I presume that's bothered about, he's talking about me having more. Like, I mean, it'd be nice, Chris. Don't get me wrong, it would be nice. But honestly, I'm not that bothered. As long as I have people like yourself, Chris, like Neil Layfield, who's just joined in with the chat, like Paul Seagulls as well, who I've seen Paul's name crop up loads of times. As long as I have, yeah, Steph, yourself, you know, because you join in with the quiz, even though you're absolutely dog shit every week. But you know, that's all I'm bothered about. I mean, it would be nice, obviously, but I'm not fussed. As long as I have a nice community surrounding my videos, people that get involved, interact, chat to me when they see me out and stuff. That's all I'm fussed about. Honestly, I really am. But anyway, that's our Neil Layfield and Paul Seedle. You two have only just joined. Fair enough, people are busy. Marty's downstairs cooling. It'll be cold by the time I get downstairs, so I'm fuming. So these people are probably thought
Ben Mee chat. It went on that long.
I'll leave Joe till after my tea. I couldn't do that because I promised everyone 6 o'clock. But if you are late to the chat, like Neil and Paul are, please let us know your player of the year in the comments. Me and Simon have voted Talker. Neil, you've already answered actually on Pitch Sport, aren't you? But feel free to answer on YouTube as well to get another comment. Boost the analytics, that mate. Keep it going. Paul as well. Just get your thoughts in. And if you have any questions that you want me and Simon to answer later on when we finish doing our usual chat, put them in the chat now, and then we'll try and come back to them and answer any questions that anyone may have. So get thinking if you haven't thought of one already, or if you thought of one, put it in now. And like I said, I'll scroll up. But of course, part of the podcast that we do every week is we look back at the previous game. Now, we've been doing really well recently. We haven't discussed a defeat since the first game back into lockdown, which, of course, we lost to Manchester City 5-0. But this time on Sunday, it wasn't it? It wasn't Saturday. We lost to Brighton, unfortunately, 2-1 at Turf Moor. The first defeat at Turf Moor. Yeah, fair enough. That's Simon's thoughts on the game. Fuck him. But the first defeat since New Year's Day against Villa. But thoughts on the game other than fuck 'em, Simon?
It were an hard work one to watch, weren't it? They've all been hard to watch in the last sort of 5 or 6 since all them injuries kicked in, and it's easy to forget, like you said to the other day. You said it on the watch along. You forget how many injuries we have because they've done that well since they come in. But it was hard to watch, and to not get a result after all that sort of hard work and just wanting that clean sheet. As soon as that goal went in, mate, the game were gone. They were deflated.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we even got back in it, but just to sort of summarise, what a finish by Wood. I mean, that boy gets slated for his offside.
You know what? I hate people. Hate's a strong word. I dislike people that think Chris Wood is a poor player. How can you think that 14 goals in the Premier League and being our leading goal scorer for the last 3 seasons is a bad player? Admittedly, he was joint with Barnsley, I think, last season. I think it's 4 seasons now, actually. He's been top. I know it's 3. But how can you think that's bad? And again, his goal at the weekend showed, admittedly, why some people might get frustrated, or it showed that he's probably taking it all on board a bit now. He actually bent his run. He was running, bent it to make sure he stay on side, and the ball came over, which, by the way, was a fantastic pass. I can't remember who it was from now. If you know in the chat, let us know.
Peters?
Wester? Peters? I can't remember. Whoever it
I feel
were.
like it was a Peters left back.
Top job. But great ball. And then he takes a touch after bending his run. The old 1-2 with the feet where you control it with one, pass it onto the other foot essentially with the control, and then slot it into the far corner. Brilliant finish by a brilliant footballer.
Man. Unbelievable. And like you said, it's all right criticising his offside runs, but it's Alan Shearer, I remember saying it first. But if you don't complain about missing chances, you complain about not getting them. And it's the same with the runs. You can't complain that he's offside because every now and again this one does get in, and it's more than one a game that get in. It's just then he's done the hard bit. It's just about taking the chance after that. And majority of the time he does. Yeah,
like Neil Layfield just commented as well, saying Wood is class. He's offside a lot because of his role on the pitch, which is obviously exactly what you just said.
You're playing centre halves on the halfway line with a team that's as big and strong as we are. You're going to have to take a gamble, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But people, like you said, that I don't know what game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to what you just said. It was a difficult one to watch. I just think because with everything surrounding that game was about Nick getting that clean sheet. There were a few murmurs about the record points, but I think for me, I wanted to make sure Nick got that clean sheet. And I would presume, looking at what Woody said after the win against Norwich, where he said, look, we're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure this lad gets that clean sheet. I think a lot of the players were focused on getting Nick that clean sheet. So I think that early goal...
Yeah,
I think that early goal's just exactly, and it's not his fault. It's just a class finish. But even if it would have been like a mistake of Ports or anything, I think they're just deflated. Like they focused all week on getting this, and that's gone in, and it's just deflated him, and that's why they never really got going in that game. I don't think.
Exactly, and when you get goal, you concede a goal from 30 yards anyway. It's deflating because there's nothing you can do about it. You've got your shape, you've done everything right, and then they just score a worldie. It's already deflating. The fact that the award has gone, and then you've got another great goal. So you got blessed with 2 great goals in that game from a poor game. Potential penalty with J-Rod.
Well, yeah, I want to touch on this actually because Simon Marus has left a comment. Like, we didn't look at us best, but that offside goal which we scored or didn't score in the end, we'll come on to in a second, could easily have stood. And the penalty, it's a penalty all day fucking long, man.
It's
what
a foul
is wrong
anywhere else on the pitch, and I hate
what
that.
What is wrong with that man? I think honestly, I genuinely believe every other man would have given that. I genuinely believe every other Premier League would have given that. Every other referee would have given that free kick / penalty. I don't know why I said slash. Everyone would have given that penalty. And I think the last time he refed at the Turf was at home to Tottenham, and I can't remember why, but he had an absolute shocker on that as well. And that's why I reshared something on the TurfCast socials this week saying, "Oh look, he's a clown again," because I put something up after that Tottenham game saying, "Oh look, he's a clown," and he's done it again. Like it's 100% a pen. So we should have had that. Then we get back into it anyway with the Wood goal, and now I have an issue with this offside as well. Now, from the angle that we saw, on the watch along, and the angle that it shows on the highlights, you look at it and you think, yeah, fair enough.
Have you put the Ben Mee bit out already?
Have I put the Ben Mee bit out? What bit?
The first 18 minutes of this live, is that already out as a thing?
No, I can't physically do that, mate. I can't download the video until
that's wizardry.
No, I can't physically do that, mate. If anyone wants to apply to be sort of like my free social media person, I say free because I can't afford to pay you, then yeah, feel free. We can do shit like that. Yeah, I did that before we went live. You obviously must have on like a line. Anyway, what was I saying then? You fucking...
Sorry, mate.
What are you even going on about?
So I think
the
you
offside.
stop for breath, and then all of a sudden you carry on, and I'm like, shit.
The offside, yeah. So if you look at the angle, every single angle, and what we watched on the watch along, we all said, yeah, fair enough. He's blocking the goalkeeper. Brighton's goalkeeper, Ryan, his last name, is it? I can't remember. He can't get to the ball, so it looks like JBG's blocking him off. But if you look from the other angle, he's fucking got hold of him. He's pulling him back.
I've not seen any other angles because on the live, it only showed the one angle that...
Exactly. I, even on the highlights, on the Premier League official highlights, and even on the Burnley YouTube channel, it only shows that one angle. But someone tweeted a photo, I don't know who it was, of the Brighton goalkeeper pulling him back. So I think for me, that's why I've got a little bit of an issue with it. How can that be offside if he's pulling him back? Well, he's pulling him back. He can't get out of the way.
I will do. Bournemouth won't put up with this shit. They'd sue him.
Fucking damn right. I think the fact that Bournemouth have gone down because of that stupid one fail, damn right, Bournemouth are well within their rights because of that.
Exactly. They don't put up with no shit.
But I think this one's different though, isn't it? This one's like human opinion and human error, and it's a bit of a grey area. Whereas the Bournemouth one, it went over the line. So it's as simple as that. It went over the line. But yeah, to say we played poorly, but yet could have easily won the game because we should have had the penalty and we should have had the goal that was given for VAR offside. I think that's a testament for us to say that we played bad, but again, still could have won.
Exactly, and the amount of times that's happened this season. What is it? It was Fergie that said you've got a great team can play bad and win.
Yeah,
and that's how you have successful seasons by getting results when you're not at your best. You don't get it by having, like you said, getting 3 points because you played well. It's about getting
look at the Arsenal Invincible season. They must have been not at their best so many times that season. Well, I remember it very well. They weren't. But they used to always just dig out a draw. They'd always dig out a draw or go on and win the game despite being at their best. So, yeah, definitely. Just going back to the point that we made about Wood, Chris Harris has commented, said Chris Wood got 14 in 32 games because that's a good little thing. Let's remember, he was injured for a little bit as well. So he's missed, 6 games there this season and still got 14. And if you cast your mind to the beginning of the season as well, I don't think he scored for like a month. Barnsley were getting all the goals at that point.
Some of them were coming off the bench.
Yeah. I mean, so to say he's still got that many goals, it is class. And he makes a good point, saying Jimenez got 17 in 38, and everyone says he's class, but obviously he's making a point that people think was. Yeah, he is class. And I think Chris will probably agree with that. But I think the point he's making is, for some reason, people hate Chris Wood and think he's a donkey. Whereas Jimenez, he just gets praised all the time. Simon Marru says, last game of the season is always an anticlimax. I don't know what it is about us. Don't know what it is about us. For some reason, we are dog shit on the last game of the season. Chris Harris also says 100% a penalty. Now, before I go into sort of like a bit of a season review, I've had a couple of questions. One from Paul and one from Chris earlier on. I'll just scroll up to the Chris one. There it is. I'll put it on your screen now so everybody can see it. I will. Can you see it, Simon? I will read it out for you. Don't worry.
Harris. I see it.
Yeah, that's his name. That's his name. But he says, what's the highest wage that you'd want us to sign a player on? So I'll put that that question to everyone in the chat as well. So if you want to answer in the chat, please feel free to answer in the chat, and you and Chris can all engage and have a little conversation. But I'll also put the question to you as well, Simon, first.
Yeah, good question. What a good question. I'm not 100% sure what the Burnley cap is at the minute, so let's just throw a number out there for argument's sake at 50. Grand a week is a top.
I think it's about that, isn't it? Because I don't know any player that's been on more than 50, 55. I think Defoe was on 45. I believe Joe Hart was on 50 or 55. I think Tarky's probably pushing that top bit now. Obviously, being so
probably
good.
Isn't knowing Burnley because we'll still keep dragging that last contract out before he re-signed or whatever. But I'd say it's 50 for argument's sake. I want to start seeing the 65 push now. I know that's a bit of a jump. But the problem I have with it, even though I'm preaching that's what I want, the problem we have with that is you start upsetting the apple cart because then you say, well, I'm worth 65. Your Ben Mees are worth 65. And it's how much are you willing to pay for that one player can often make 7 more players need a pay rise. Yeah.
I think remember when we were first in the Premier League, I think our wage cap then was like 15, wasn't it? I think it was something ridiculous like 15 in 2009, 2010.
I'll tell you what I do remember, which is go on.
I was saying when Coyle left, everyone were like, "Well, blah blah blah. Why is why can Bolton pay more money than we can?" Obviously, Bolton at the time had been in the Premier League for like 6-7 years. This was our first ever time, but it's finding the right balance, like you say. You don't want to, as Barry Kilby used to always say, bet the apple cart. Sorry, bet the ranch or upset the apple cart. But you also want to start bringing in and attracting the better players and stuff like that.
I can't remember the player that I'm referring to because it was someone we didn't sign. But I remember somebody going to a championship club. I think it was Sheffield Wednesday. And one of the players went there. And I remember asking somebody who I knew that was at Sheffield Wednesday saying, wow, like, no disrespect, but why would you go to the championship? Like, surely, blah, 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 about the wages and things. And he said, no, you'd be surprised, mate. Sheffield Wednesday pay more than Burnley pay. And that was 4 years ago when we were trying to sign Premier League players and wondering why they weren't coming to us because of things like you said, championship clubs could offer more money than we could even offer at that time.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's still the case. Obviously, be exceptions. I think Leeds' wage bill last season would have probably been higher than ours.
I think I was just waiting for it because remember I tried talking earlier, but at the point you were referring to £15,000 cap. And at that point, I know that Sheffield Wednesday were offering more for wages at around 25, I think I remember tweaking.
Yeah.
Than we were offering.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully for us, because we're on the right side of it, thankfully for us, the Premier League money's just gone up and up and up, whereas Championship money's still going up, but it's not going up as fast. So we've been in the Premier League for the last 4 seasons now. Obviously, it's going to be the 5th next season, isn't it now? So we're just going to benefit from that. But I think now your bigger clubs are coming up again. I think we might end up sort of like struggling to sort of like carry on, but offering the certain amount because Leeds will cut next season. I bet you any money that Leeds will offer somebody over 100k, 100%. Villa probably already do. I know Bournemouth did when they were in the Premier League. Watford have done in the past as well. So we do need to start getting closer to these sort of clubs. So yeah, I don't disagree with that 60, 65 maybe because Daesh is on 75 a week.
Yeah, and this is it. And once you start going to your 65s, I mean, like I said, if it's 65 now, then I want to be 75. But say it's 50 at the minute, and we're going to 65s, you are going to have to up a lot of players to keep them, like your Tarkowski. Because another reason I want to see it pushing up is because if Tarky does go, or Tarkowski as it's pronounced, if he does get like a sniff of another club, and they're offering you 15 grand a week more, people are sitting next to him at the turf will say, oh, well, it's just being greedy. It's a short career, mate. If he breaks his leg tomorrow, he might not be on that ever again. And once you start offering these people that big money, it's hard to not go, no matter how much you love playing for Burnley.
I don't necessarily buy the it's greedy thing. Like 100%. No, if someone from, I don't know, Head and Shoulders came up to you and said, right, you want to be a manager of one of our new salons, you'd 100%. If they offered you £5,000 a week more, if 250 quid a week more, you'd probably be like 100%. I'm definitely going. You've got to have ambition, and I understand why certain players and stuff do move on and things like that because they have ambition and managers and stuff like that. So I do understand that. We're getting a few comments coming in though, so we'll just have a look at that. Chris Harris backs it up by saying he thinks the highest earner is me on 55k. Is that like new today? Because I didn't think he'd on that much. Fair enough though, Chris. Neil Layfield, loving the profile picture by the way. Neil, he's got like a sort of like an actor's headshot profile picture. Said you've got to get the balance right, which is of course what me and you were just saying. Look at how many clubs have paid stupid wages, then struggle financially and almost go bust. Agree, Burnley need to invest more, but also need to make sure the club is stable, which is pretty much everything that we do. This is why we get Neil on, because he talks sense. And he's he just commented on his profile picture as well. He says it's for work. So fair enough. Forster 1000 says we won't be getting players on big wages. Championship and youth, I reckon there may be one from Europe or along. I don't necessarily mind the model that we currently have of saying to championship players, right, you've done well at that level, we will be your chance to get to this level. I quite like that model. It's worked so far.
I enjoy it.
I don't necessarily think that's a negative.
No, investments, mate. That's what they are out there. If you got, not all of them work. Ben Gibson, for example, but if you're looking at championship, when we was in the championship, do you remember how frustrated we used to get that Heaton were in the England squad just because we were in championship when they were the standout player? And we always used to say, why do people never look in the championship for internationals and things like that? And when you're not in the championship, you soon forget how good some of them players are.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Forestieri's just been let go on a free.
He was class about 5-6 years ago. I don't know what he's like anymore, but he was class 5-6 years ago.
In the Prem.
No, true. Some players just don't. Robbie Blake took years. He used to always go on about how he'd love to play in the Prem, and he never really got that chance. I think Birmingham took a punt on him, didn't he, for a bit, but that didn't go well. And obviously we got promoted in the end anyway, so we did get that chance with us, and then Bolton gave him another chance after that. So some players just don't get that chance. But we had another question. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, mate, there is a delay. Sorry. I would rather get a championship gamble than when you're looking at Sun and Sky Sports that they've put relegated 11. You know what I mean? It's all right putting Delafea and Decore and all the Aarons, people like that in that list. And they are incredible players individually, but are they the right players for your fit? Are they a team player? Are they individuals that, just make themselves look good in a team of average players? Or,
yeah, I mean, look, perfect example of that, I think, for me, would be Chris Seagulls. He used to always look class, like when he was on the ball and stuff, but for a team, I didn't really appreciate. I didn't really like, because he'd never track back and things like that and stuff like that.
Dash wouldn't have it, man. Dash wouldn't have it.
No chance. Dash wouldn't have it. We've had another question from Paul Seedle. I'll just put it on screen now so all the viewers can see it. It says, do you think we currently have one of the weakest squads we've had in a while, even though we probably have improved the individual talent the squad has had? The squad has.
My opinion.
Would you like to expand?
No, just not.
No, I don't want to expand.
I'm joking. Yeah, absolutely not. I don't think that's a thing, because look at the injuries we've had, look at the replacements that have come in, and if you actually give us a full strength squad with no injuries, I think our bench is probably. I remember looking back at benches thinking you don't even want them to come on, even in the Premier League. And now you're thinking like, oh, right, go on, throw Brady on. Brady would have been the first team with someone you don't really want, and Lennon was in it this year and things like that. Don't just look at the 11 that's on, look at the ones that have left now, and Hendrick and things like that. We've afforded to lose them players, so I don't think it was the weakest squad we've had at all. I think it's probably one of the depth of it is what's driving some players out.
Yeah. I think some of the depth can be improved, but I won't say it's the weakest squad.
No,
I think someone mentioned earlier on one of the apps that were one of the responses that I read out about something that Kevin Long, we wouldn't have conceded that goal if Kevin Long were on the pitch. I do probably agree with that comment. Obviously, the Brighton second goal at the weekend, I do agree with that comment. However, I think Kevin Long's come in and proven that he probably deserves a shout at Premier League football now, which is not something I thought I'd have said this time 6 weeks ago. But since Ben Mee's been injured, he's come in and done really, really well. And I think the depth does get a bit of unnecessary stick, mainly because of the cup runs that we've had down the years, which have just been absolutely shocking that we normally give to the squad players. Obviously, we were shit this year in the cup as well, losing at home to Sunderland and at home to Norwich. Got past Peterborough though, so that's a bonus. But apart from that, obviously we're just always so poor in the cups. But I think for me, we've shown they've shown in the last few weeks, because we've had a lot of injuries, that the depth is actually all right.
Yeah, I think the depth's all right. I don't think it's as good as it can be, but unfortunately, I think we are going to go back a couple of years now because of the new rules. If you're allowed 5 subs and you're allowed 9 on your bench, unfortunately, we've gone actually back, even though we've improved. So next year might be even more difficult for depth than it's ever been. But end of the day, mate, we've survived all these seasons on 1 sub a game. So can have 5 subs.
Yeah, it's one of them though. We'll just go on that 5 sub rule. I think it's just I know it's an obvious thing to say, and it'll be something that a lot of people have said already, but it just helps the big clubs, and that's why it's been pushed through, because it just helps the big clubs. It's absolutely bullshit. The fact that City can look at their bench and bring on 5 world-class players, same with Liverpool, more so City, because City can just throw loads of money at it and not really give a shit. Liverpool can, but not to the same sort of extent that City can. So it's just only going to help them, and that's frustrating. Man United probably can as well in terms of wages and stuff, so it's just going to help the top clubs, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to invest more in the depth of it. Like you said, it was interesting though, because obviously it counters what I was saying, but only because of injuries. But when you look at the Brighton game, I said there was only 2 players that you would see come on the Burnley pitch on the bench of 9, I think, and the other one was Peacock Farrell, which was a 3rd, and that obviously he ain't coming on unless there's an injury. Thank God there isn't at the minute. But you'd have liked to have seen the youth come through a little bit, but I don't know. We need to invest in some serious players that are potentials, and that's why I like what you said earlier, the model of trying gambles in the Championship, because they're quite happy to wait for a chance.
Yep, fair enough. I don't necessarily disagree with that. We've had a comment from Chris Countryman, who says, "Hi, I'm a huge new Burnley fan from New Jersey." Yeah, it says new. It says new. Enough. Huge new Burnley fan from New Jersey, USA. Just here to say that James Rodriguez is officially Bay Rodriguez, and he's made the impossible real. He's made man buns cool.
To be fair, he's a good-looking lad, no doubt. He's a cool guy. He's a nice guy.
He is a cool guy. Not many people will suit that sort of hair, but I know a lot of people comment all the time on my stuff saying, "Oh, good, cut that hair." But I think it suits him. I don't know.
Cool, mate.
Could you imagine me or you with that? We'd look. I mean, I sent you some pictures this week of you with long hair. You looked absolutely ridiculous. I remember my 30th birthday party. You turned up with your hair in a bun, and we won't.
Yeah, cool.
Nah. Weren't cool.
Well good,
I've already said too much. I probably won't get my haircut ever again if I carry on. But Chris has left another comment. He says, "I used to get mad at C Dub's offside tendencies." I think that's his nickname for Chris Wood. C Dubs he's put, but he's not. I don't think he's spelt that wrong. I think he's put that intentionally. Offside tendencies, until I realised it wasn't really a tendency, but a good indicator of how positive and front-footed the team plays. And he is a brilliant. He is the best finisher. I said this on the podcast when we first started it, day one. He's the best finisher that we have in this squad. And what I always cast my mind back to is the Olympiacos game at home. If all them chances had a fallen to Chris Wood that fell to Sam Vokes, we'd have qualified. We'd have beat Olympiacos and we'd have got through to the group stages, in my humble opinion.
Honestly, I've never seen a game with as many chances, ever.
Exactly. And all you needed were 2 of them to fall to Chris Wood and we'd have been through.
Exactly.
He's a class finisher. But if you get any more questions, please feel free to put them into the chat. If you are listening to this on the podcast as well, from your favourite podcast provider, please bear in mind that we obviously did this live. So some of the questions and stuff, you obviously might be wondering where they are getting that from. That's because we've done it live on YouTube. And if you don't follow us already, as I've just brought that in, as Simon nicely pointed out, you can follow us all on the social media platforms at the thing below. And this, Chris, is mainly for you because you said you're a new Burnley fan from New Jersey. You can follow us all on all these, mate. Follow us all on all these. But let's just have a look back at the season then, because we are pushing an hour now. My tea's probably freezing downstairs, which is a shame. Mrs. put her heart and soul into that. I've got work at home, mate. I'll tell listeners as well what I told you earlier today. I had an absolute nightmare with work yesterday. Fuck me, right? So I was at Bradford for a job. I'll say that. At what time do I have to be there? 10:30 a.m. Not obviously early. Oh, fine. I got up, had a coffee, nice and relaxed driving, dropped the lad off at his nana's and stuff. Nice and easy. Got to Bradford, got everything ready for this job, filmed this job, edited this job, finished the job at Bradford. and then went over to my next job, which was meant to be at William Hill. Obviously, a few of you will know I work at William Hill at nights and stuff, doing the directing for their internet and things like that. Sat there because I got there an hour and a half early, so I got there at 8:30. Bear in mind, I've been walking around Leeds City Centre since 7 p.m. as well, by the way. But I got into work at 8:30. I don't start till 10. Just sat there chilling, and it gets to 5 to 10, which is when I'm meant to start, and someone walks in and went, "What are you doing here?" And I turned around and I went, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I'm on betting TV tonight, not you, it's me." I went, "No, it's me. It's me tonight, tomorrow and Thursday. Then you all the other days." He's like, "No, it's you Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and me all the other days." I'm like, "No, you're wrong. And he's like, "Oh, I hope not, because I've just got the bus. It's cost me £5 for the bus." I'm like, "Cost me £5 for the bus? I've been sat here since 7. I've been walking around Leeds since 7. Anyway, he checks the fucking rotor, and yeah, I'd fucked up. I wasn't supposed to be in. I'd been sat there in Leeds doing absolutely nothing for 3 hours when I could have been at home playing on Warzone with you.
Oh, mate, got a good finish last night.
Yeah, well, we won't get into that because one of your friends has fallen out with you because you're not good enough. But yeah, I am at work tonight as well, so we do need to get everything in we need to do. But if you want to, please feel free to get some questions in. Me and Simon will quickly now chat about the season. If there are still some questions there for us to answer, we'll go through them, we'll chat about them. We'll do that for as long as possible until I'm really hungry and I have to go. But so get your questions in. I'll come back to them in a bit. But Simon, your thoughts on the season as a whole then, because it started off with a good win at home to Southampton. I remember going into it, not really knowing what to expect from. It's always the same thing on the first day of the season. You don't know how you're going to play. You don't know how the opposition teams are going to play. You don't know how you're going to come back from the break. You always want to start the season well, because obviously if you look back to the last season, we started it so poorly, thanks to, in my opinion, the Europa League campaign, that we were losing games we should have been winning, and then we were at a point where we were sort of like playing catch-up and stuff and things like that, so it doesn't really help in terms of mentality and things like that. So you want to start off with a win. And thankfully we did that against Southampton.
I'm glad you've recapped that because obviously it helps my memory. But yeah, I remember going into that game because you look at the Southampton 11, they're actually a good 11 at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, they still are now, but they had a really poor start to the season, which at the time I thought was a little bit... they've come into their own now, and they're not finished too many points behind us, too many places behind us, which is probably what you'd expect looking at their team. But I didn't know what to expect, but we went into it and absolutely battered them 3-0.
Yeah, but absolutely turned them over, didn't they? I remember Charlie Taylor had an absolute field day on that left-hand side. Dwight McNeil, it was like seeing a partnership. That was the start of seeing a partnership between Dwight and... I'm sure it was Taylor that started. And
no, it was Peters, weren't it? It was Peters that played that game.
And I remember on the left-hand side, we had an age of space, and it just kept coming in from that left because of Dwight. And it was good to see, and turning them inside out. And it was just typical Burnley. There were no sort of frills with it. It was pass it along the back, work it down the front, and then Dwight McNeil whip a ball in and stuff like that. It was just a cliche Burnley performance. But I remember thinking, fuck me, like 3-0 against them. They look... It's interesting though, isn't it, as a Burnley fan, you come off them games and think they were shit today, weren't they? you know, not like how class were we. But no, they were.
But I always remember that mistake that Peter's got an assist for this. I remember Peter's got 2 assists. One for an absolute peach of a cross, which Barnes just battered into the net.
I remember the left-hand side, we had a worldie. I remember that much.
Yeah, Peters who played. But I remember one of them were a beautiful cross. Landed perfectly on Barnes' head or his foot. Not his head, and he nearly broke the net. It was that good of an header. But the second one, he just oofed it upfield. It went underneath one of their defenders. Apparently got caught in the wind, as their defender said in the post match. He went to head it, missed, went through to Barnes, who latched onto it, put it in, landed on his chest, belted it into the bottom of the net 2-0. And I think JBG scored the third. But I always remember that defender summed up their performance, I think, with me, because he were absolute shambles and he had that terrible, terrible header.
I do remember, like I said, with the left side, the wing backs in particular. And I remember them cutting in as well a lot, which we never used to see. And that was the start of it this season. Like you see it a few times with Bardo having shots and Lawton having shots when he's playing. And yeah, it's good to see. It was the start of sort of, like you said, the transformation. And I thought then that we were going to do well in the season, but obviously we had a bit of a dip in the middle of it, didn't we?
Yeah, it weren't just the middle either, because after that we lost 2-1 at Arsenal. That's not really obviously a dip, but I remember that game we played well, but the Ceballos, the lad who didn't have that good of a season, to be fair, in the end, but I remember thinking, like, this lad's going to be class, he's going to tear the Premier League up. They beat us because of that. Then we went to Wolves and drew 1-1. That were a ridiculous penalty decision that we ended up getting calmer for, thankfully, which screwed us over on that one. Then we got beat to Sunderland. I know, it's fucking joke. Then we got beat to Sunderland on the 28th of August, and then we lost at home to Liverpool 3-0. Obviously, Liverpool in the end went on to win the league. A lot of people at the time thought Liverpool were going to be top 2 anyway, so not many people were that worried about that result. But I remember even that we having that great start to the month and great start to the season. At the end of it, thinking, all right, we've played 3 very good sides here, but we haven't picked up a win. It was mainly the game against Sunderland that worried me, because we had the likes of Danny Drinkwater playing, Joe Hart, Ben Gibson played as well, I think, to be fair, in that game. And I remember thinking, if did Danny Drinkwater play, he might not have done. But we had a lot of depth. We had a lot of depth on that. We had a lot of experience, should I say, on that pitch, and ended up getting absolutely turned over.
Point, doesn't it? That goes back to the point of, like you said about the question was earlier, do you think it's the worst sort of depth we've had? We actually had a cup team for once, you know what I mean? And it was nearly a full new 11, nearly. We've never had that before. So just echo what you said earlier, really.
Then we had an unbeaten September. So we went to Brighton and drew 1-1. Jeff Hendrick, RIP, with the goal. Beat Norwich 2-0 at home. Absolutely comfortable, though. That were at one point where I thought, because as a Burnley fan, I don't
Norwich
know if people,
shit then, weren't they?
Yeah, as a Burnley fan, I don't know if people are going to disagree with me, but I personally, I'm always looking over my shoulder and just making sure we're that far away from 18th. You know, we've got a point gap, just making. But when we beat Norwich that day and we absolutely turned them over, I know it says 2-0, but in terms of quality, we were like 5-6-0 ahead of them. And I looked at that game and came away from that game thinking, we'll be all right. I remember coming away from that game thinking, we'll be fine. If there's teams like this in this league, we will be fine.
There were a game like that, and I think it was Everton as well this season. What scored Everton this season? It were 1-0 to us, I think it were. And I remember them.
We won at Turf. They won at Goodison.
Yeah, and I remember at the Turf, and we beat them. And I remember thinking, we're miles better than Southampton because they were struggling then. Yeah, I remember looking at Norwich, thinking when we turned them over, thinking we're doing all right here.
I think at this point, Southampton had been beaten 9-0 at home to Leicester as well. So I remember thinking, Norwich is shit, Southampton is shit. Just looking ahead at some more scores as well. After that, we drew with Villa 2-2 as well. Now, you went on that one, didn't you?
Yeah, good game. We didn't deserve much out of it, to be fair. They were a far better team than us, and we just grounded a result out, and then we did it well. But I think they got a goal disallowed as well, so it could have been worse.
Well, we had the Westy 45-yard lob that for it were a poor foul, I think, in the end, but it were always a foul.
And I spoke to Heats about that afterwards, and I'm like, "Oh, we gutted," like winding Heats up, saying we gutted when that Westy goal went in, because obviously Heats acted like he was just walking back to net, but if you watch it from the beginning, he's done a jog. Done a little skip as if to say I ain't getting that, and then walked back to the net afterwards as if to say I wasn't even trying to get it. And I remember trying to wind him up about that afterwards, and he said literally every time there was a corner, Westy was in my ear giving me shit about that, letting it in.
Yeah, that's funny. Richard Goddard says, "Hey up lads, what have I missed? Just an hour, mate. Just an hour of live podcast." It does say Ben Mee till 2022, should be at least until 2025. Richard, we have discussed that, but don't worry, the podcast is going to go up in the usual places if you want to download it. And of course, this video will stay on our YouTube as well if you want to go back and listen to everything we said about Ben. But it's great to see Ben, obviously, extended stay at the club, so we're all buzzing with that. We're just going through the season now, though. After that, we beat Everton 1-0 at the Turf, then lost at Leicester. But in controversial circumstances, because we did score an equaliser. But Ben Mee, sorry, not Ben Mee, it's because we talk about Ben Mee, but Chris Wood had a goal disallowed for absolute fuck all.
And then lost. God, I forgot about that.
You forget about that. So obviously the ball's going into the net. Chris Wood's going like that. For some reason, your camera's gone off. I hope everything's okay. There we go. He's back. Chris Wood went like that, as you say, like I'm not touching him. He ran through, and then Rick Madison fell over. Rick Madison that fell over.
Yeah, like. No, was it not Evans?
Could have been Evans. Could have been Evans. Back. Yeah, I think he were Evans actually. And he fell over his own legs. He fell over his own legs.
That's one of. I remember it because I remember even like being obviously wherever Burnley fan will listen.
Yeah, Richard Goddard confirmed Evans.
And I even remember. Everyone knows I've got a bad memory, but I even remember the fact that on match day afterwards, even they were saying like, "Oh, that's ridiculous that happened." And yeah, it were what? How could I forget about that? That was unbelievable, wasn't it?
I work with a Leicester fan, and he actually came up to me and said that decision was a disgrace. And I'm like, don't even talk to me, Dan. Don't even talk to me. I was fuming. But yeah,
that
we got
absolutely beaten our points record this season.
Well, there's been a few, obviously, there's been a few like instances, even the Brighton game, like I said, I've mentioned that decision. Then came the sort of like part of the season where we started like not being shit all season, but started stuttering a little bit. Like we'd have some really good performances and some really bad ones. We got beat against Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. Most of us has wiped that from our memory. That were an absolute shambles. And we absolutely battered West Ham at home 3-0, battered Watford down at Watford 3-0, but then lost at home to Crystal Palace 2-0. So I remember at this point thinking, we're just gonna start stuttering here. The season, I used to always say at that point, this season is very stop-start, and that's exactly what we're happening.
Yeah, no, that was the point I was referring to in the middle, where it started to slope a bit, like as you say, stop-start. But at the beginning of the season, I remember being confident, and this was the point where I started to get a bit panicking now, because we've never been comfortable this season, even though we finished well above relegation. Like you said, it's always been a bit sort of small steps. It's never been quite a...
Yeah, I don't really think we were massive. I don't ever think we went miles away from relegation until after lockdown. I think that's when we like really pulled it. Even during lockdown, I was like, all right, 36 points. We will more than likely be safe, but we need them boys to not go on a run. But then we went on that run and then we were miles away. But at this point of the season, we're always just sort of like, oh, hold on a second, that's a good win, but that's a shit result afterwards. And we're always just sort of like, oh, I hope they don't win, sort of thing.
Whereas the season that we got in Europe with the same amount of points, we was always looking at Europe in the last sort of third of the season, weren't we?
Exactly. It's a weird how the two seasons have panned out, isn't it? Because we've ended up on the exact same points, but for that European game, we were fourth in like December, whereas in this time in December, we were like 15, 16, something like that, and looking over his shoulder, especially after the Villa game. We'll get onto that in a second, though. So that's November done. We'll just have a look at December. So we see again. This we're starting to get really, really like we're getting a bit worried at this point. So we lost at home to Man City 4-1. Yeah, we lost at home to Man City 4-1. Then we got beat against Tottenham 5-0. How we got beat 5-0 against the Jose Mourinho side is beyond me. And thankfully we had a couple of big wins that we needed. Beat Newcastle 1-0 at the Turf. Beat Bournemouth 1-0 down at Bournemouth, Dean Court, Vitality Stadium, whatever it's called. Then we lost away to Everton on Boxing Day, and then we lost at home to Manchester United on the 28th of December. So a bit of a mixed month, really. Some absolute batterings in there, but some sort of like big wins as well. When the pressure were on, we started getting some big wins.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Like you said, the Man United game, we never turned up for it, and they're the games at Turf Moor that you usually turn up for as Burnley fans. I remember coming away from that thinking we weren't even at the races that game. It was a bizarre game. I remember being deflated by that one.
I've always found that until recently, I remember leaving that game and saying, "Oh, we give the big clubs too much respect." And at every point during that game this season, we'd lost at home to City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United, got battered away to Tottenham. We'd given them all far too much respect. And that Man United game, I was so frustrated because it looked like a game where, as if we got in their faces and did what Burnley does best, we'd have won, but we just never did.
No, it was weird. I remember because I think United were on their knees at that point. There was something
on the knees the majority of the latter part.
There was something that massively made me think that they were there for the take, and I don't remember what now. But yeah, I remember.
I just the same sort of vibe as me. I just think like they just didn't look that good. Richard says, "Give over. You weren't seriously worried that we would get relegated after lockdown." No, I might not have explained it right, but what I said during lockdown. Yeah, during lockdown we were on 36 points, and obviously you need to get to that 40 mark, everybody says. I always thought we'd do it, but I was looking at sides behind us as well, just sort of like making sure that we had the points cushion and things like that, which we always did. Anyway, let's get back into the season. So then January came, and then the game where I left, and I thought we're fucked. I think we might end up going down. I never thought we were going to go down, but I was like, right, I am very worried about getting relegated here. It was obviously the defeat to Aston Villa on New Year's Day. Lost 2-1 at home to them. We're absolutely shambles that day. But a lot of people have joked, and it might be the truth, that obviously it was New Year's Eve the night before, so maybe some of the players were still a little bit worse for wear. But they definitely played like that. So,
yeah, I mean, it were two bad injuries for Villa in that game. Obviously, the Wesley one and the Heaton one. And they still come away somehow with
and they had that ridiculous goal disallowed where I think it were Wesley were walking back, had his heel just over like one of our players. That was the most ridiculous decision I've ever seen. Obviously, I took it at the time, but think in the end, Villa they deserved to in that game. Villa got better than us.
Mate, the actual Grealish show. Anyone who was questioning is Grealish a Premier League player after that game at Turf Moor can't not have said he's a Premier League player. He tore us apart. We give him far too much time.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. We gave him too much space, but I think obviously I think we were worried that he draws in the fouls. So I think that's what we were trying not to do. But I just think we got it. Yeah, we got it wrong with Grealish that day. I think we definitely get too much space. We got it wrong. But then again, apparently there were this sort of things after that where we had our meetings, as people do. We beat Peterborough 4-2 in the cup. That ended up being in vain because obviously we lost to Norwich in the next round. Then we lost to Chelsea 3-0 at Chelsea. Now I believe this is when we had all these meetings and all these crisis meetings that we seem to have like one every year at the minute. Well, we've just had it for 2 years, to be fair. And then we seem to turn it around after that, because after that we beat Leicester 2-1, and then we end January with a win in the league, with a win at Manchester United. Obviously, we also lost to Norwich as well. But I think if I'm going to look at one particular moment in this entire one particular game in this entire season that turned it round from being stop-start to pushing on and being an absolute force like we were in the second half of the season, was that Leicester game. And if I can pinpoint an absolute moment within that Leicester game that turned it round and therefore turned our entire season round, for me, as Simon does somersaults for some reason, was Nick Pope's penalty save in that game.
Yeah, I were working in Manchester that day, and I had it on. I was at a conference, and I was one of the like the guest artists that comes on and shows you what to do. And in front of hundreds of hairdressers, and I had the fucking Burnley game on my phone at my table waiting for my slot. I didn't watch any of it, and I remember Louis, my son who's 11, for those who don't know, rang me and said he saved the penalty, and I'm watching it on bloody Sky Go or whatever. So I didn't even see it. I didn't even know it was a penalty at that point. I remember him ringing me up, and I'm at the table thinking, "Fucking good," trying to not react. But that's
for me in the moment. That penalty, because that turned that game around. That would have made it either 2-0 or 2-1 to Leicester. I think it would have been 2-0. If you're in the chat and you do remember, if just let me know in the chat. But that was the moment that game turned around, and it was that game for me that turned our season around, because Leicester was second or third at the time. They were doing really, really well. So the fact that we came away from that win, it just gave us all that big confidence boost. And as Paul Seedle in the chat says, we had that meeting before that game, a back to basics meeting. So if you're going into that meeting and you're saying, right, we're going to do this, do that, and do that differently, and then if you come out of that and go into a game where you then win, you're going to be buzzing. And I think that's what turned it around for me. That penalty save turned that game around, and that game turned our season around.
Yeah, there were. I don't remember when the meetings are, but I have heard about these meetings. And that penalty save against someone who's then gone on to win the Golden Boot as well, by the way.
True.
Is a pivotal point in the season, as you call it.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously the win at Man United as well. We were both there in the box, which was absolutely class.
Probably we got my favourite for that, didn't we?
Yeah, only one person battered us. Only one person. I can't remember his name.
Live on YouTube.
I don't genuinely remember his name, and I don't give the haters what they want, because they want this. They want to show that they've got to us. Fuck them. Who gives a shit?
Time of my life, it's Stretford and dancing about Jay Rodriguez's goal, getting scowled at.
We had a good time. That's all that matters. But we were fantastic that day.
What a game! Oh, so good. There were not one player that didn't excel. If it were in paper, they'd have all got at least a 9 out of 10. It was literally one of them games where every single player was amazing.
Just quickly break off, because I've seen a comment from Forcer 1000. Do you think the Villa game was the worst home performance under Dyche? I think it definitely was this season. I can't remember any others that stand out too much.
I can't go back through that.
So my memory's not good enough to go back for every single home game, but nothing else seems to stand out more than that. In fact, yeah, it does. Everton 5-0 on Boxing Day, or 5-1, whatever it was. Yeah. So for that, will probably worse than that, to be fair. That was Joe Hart's final game, though, weren't it, to be fair? So that ended up being a bit of a positive on that side of things. But yeah, then we go into February. Obviously, then we had the 0-0 at home against Arsenal. Then then we beat Southampton 2-1 down at Southampton. The reason why I said watched is because I watched it in a bar in Tenerife, and I was thinking about that in my head at the time. Then we beat Bournemouth 3-0 at home, absolutely battered, and then drew with Newcastle United away. And in the end, an unbeaten month, to say that we played Arsenal, Southampton, Bournemouth to a lesser extent, and Newcastle away. That's a really, really good month. And as I said, we started pushing on at this point.
I don't remember Bournemouth being even a relegation contender there. I think they were comfortable. sad. I don't think.
There were a lot. I think they were like lower mid-table sort of thing. They were always in a battle. They were always in a battle, but you just never really felt. For the majority of the season, I thought Villa were going down, and they've just recently pulled it out of a hat. Obviously, the West Brom fan did the Villa's going down. Everyone thought they were going down, and I think it's Villa pulling away. It's class. Villa pulling away that's pulled Bournemouth into it. But Bournemouth, after lockdown, I think that's when Bournemouth have ended up being sucked into it. They've been shite, absolutely shite. That home defeat to Newcastle, sent Bournemouth down, really.
I know. And then there's centre halves being scouted at 50 million, but they're going to give him 35 because he got relegated.
Yeah, that's another matter. But a good month there for Burnley. Then we push on into March. Obviously, only the one game in March because the old Rona happened. Burnley won, Tottenham won. I remember, again, leaving this one, being happy with the result, but again, thinking we should have probably got more out of it.
Yeah, I don't remember this one particularly well. I don't think it was a lightning sort of exciting game where it were a 1-1 draw against a top team, really. So you can't be grumbling at that anyway.
No. Richard Goodard says, bloody hell, this is a marathon effort, lads. Still only at halfway point. Do you fancy a drinks break? Normally, lads, I would have a beer with me. As you don't know, if you watch the VODCAST or you watch me do some of my live videos, I would have a beer with me. Simon's got an orange juice. I would have a beer because I'm a man. But I'm working tonight. I'm going to drive to Leeds. So no drinks break.
Stereotypical mailbox.
No, he doesn't at all. I do. He doesn't at all. But again, we are nearly done though, Richard, so don't worry about us. If you do want us to answer some questions after we've finished the season review, leave a question and we'll read it out probably in around 5 minutes, because after that, like I said, was the break for Rona. Then we came back and we were an absolute force after Rona, weren't we? Let's just forget that City game 5-0. But obviously we lost away to City 5-0. Then we beat Watford. Then we beat Palace in the month of June. 2 big wins that got us over that 40-point mark. At this point, we were on 42, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it started the Palace decline that as well, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think they played. They won their first game back from Rona. Then they got battered by Liverpool, and then they played us. So we were sort of like, I think they might beat Watford, but I can't remember. Obviously, I don't know much about Palace. But yeah, but then that did start the Palace decline because I don't think they won again, did they?
Sorry, mate. Austin trying to get in shot there. No, it's I'm saying again. I'm off track. I'm not even gonna lie. I was talking to Austin. Sorry.
Saying I don't think Palace won again after that.
No, that's what I mean. I mentioned that earlier. Sorry, I just didn't hear you. But yeah, I think they went seven losses on the bounce.
Yeah, and then we move into July, obviously a very, very, very packed month. So we'll just discuss the first 3 games. Burnley 1, Sheffield United 1, West Ham 0, Burnley 1, and then Liverpool 1, Burnley 1. So some good results there, really. Oh, some very, very good results. And some good performances as well.
We could have beat them, really.
We should have won. Yeah, we should have won. Again, I work with a Sheffield United fan. The first thing he said to me is how you didn't win that game yesterday is beyond me. And Liverpool as well. Yeah, Liverpool probably should have won that one. But we just showed the different side of our game in that game. They showed our resilience and the character, because we came back into it and got the draw with a fantastic goal from Jay.
This is the first season in the Premier League where as soon as we go 1-0 down, we've got a game on. Whereas usually in the last few seasons when we've been 1-0 down, it's like, let's not be 4 or 5. You know what I mean? There's always been a fear of getting turned over. But I think this season is the first season where I thought, come on, if you can do this, you can get back into this.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And the fact that we got the point at Liverpool pretty much sums that one up. Then the last 3 games of the season, Burnley 1, Wolves 1. Again, that one, we'll just do these singular now because we're into the last few. Give people a chance to ask another question if you want. We've only got a few games left to do. And if there's no questions in there, I'm going downstairs and having my tea and getting ready for work. So, area up with your questions if you want to ask him. But the Wolves game, one of them games where we were watching it, I'm pretty much bored. We weren't really playing very well. But thankfully, we got the point through a deserved penalty and a nice dose of karma as well.
I know. I mean, what a finish by Jimenez as well. Let's just give credit where credit's due.
Great finish, to be fair. Fantastic.
Serious goal. If you're going to score a goal against Popey, that's the kind of goal that you don't mind saying, all right, fair enough.
Yeah. The fact that it just came to him so fast and he just adjusted his body and got the power and pace and placement on it. Insane, man.
They were a serious goal, and like I said, they deserve penalty in terms of both legs, if you want to go home and away in a leg. And then, yeah, fuck him. He's one of them. I saw them all whinging about it. I had a Wolves fan comment on my thing saying how you got that penalty, and I just screenshot your TurfCast thing of the
Karma one. The Karma one, yeah.
Sent her that badge. I didn't get a reply.
Yeah, of course you didn't. You wouldn't do though, would you? But then after that, there was the Norwich win. Norwich down to 9 men. A few people, horrible. If anything, criticised us for not finishing them off, but we got the win, and for me, that's pretty much all that matters.
Yeah, that's all that matters. And it was at a time where there was still the pressure of keeping the clean sheet and getting a points total, the highest points total.
Yeah, exactly. And we got the clean sheet, which in the end was all in vain. But then obviously the last game of the season, which we have just discussed, so we won't really go into, was Brighton 1, Burnley 2. And it's a shame the season ended the way it did. But if you could choose a game to, what's the word, be the exact opposite of what our season was, or at least the second half of the season was, it'd be that Brighton game.
Yeah, it were a great game. The Villa game were a great game. The Spurs away was a terrible game. City, I'm not that arse. I give up to that one now. I call
City,
that 4-0
your City and your Liverpool. I'm a bit disappointed we didn't get much against Chelsea this season because they're a little bit. I mean, they're finishing the Champions League places, admittedly. So it's a top 4 club, so you can sort of like hold your hands up sometimes. But I think they've not been all that Chelsea this season. They've done well. Having said that, I'm going to go back to something that you said at the start of the season. You predicted Chelsea to finish in the bottom half.
Yeah, because they didn't have any sign. Did they have the embargo on at the time I said this? They had the embargo, new manager, and the players they were starting the season with Abraham. Who'd have predicted anyway that he'd have got 10 goals in the first half of the season as he did, I think it were. For me, there was no one in that team that had any leadership that were going to drag them up. I thought they were going to crumble, to be honest with you. But Lampard, I'll take me out off and I'll say he's done an unbelievable job. And hopefully they go and win the FA Cup with him. Yeah,
they've done well. I like Frank as well. I think for the first time in a long time, I look at Chelsea and think, yeah, you know, you're not massive dickheads. Because I like Frank and I
like Chelsea.
I won't go as far as saying I like them. I just don't detest them anymore.
I don't like them as in like a supporting manner. But I brought my arm there once, and the club went out of the way to help me out when they were there. So I've always had a bit of a respect for them. We'll call it.
I remember that. Match of the day goal of the season. Richard Goddard says it was Son against us, so he's good about that. One final question before we wrap up the podcast. Paul Seedle says a burning question: will we see a new strip before September? I would hope so, Paul, but fuck me, they're taking the piss, aren't they?
I'd be very surprised if it's not by this time next week. If we haven't seen it, I'd be very surprised.
You know what? I would have thought that myself. League 2 clubs where I work, Bradford, have announced their home kit. You know what I mean? Most League 2 clubs, if not all of them, someone will easily find one that hasn't if they wanted to. But the majority of League 2 clubs probably have. The majority of Premier League clubs, and the majority of clubs, full stop, have done it. Someone actually asked the Burnley on Twitter today and said, what's the plan? Are we going to see it? And they said, once we have a date, we will let you know. They don't even have a date for releasing it yet. Oh, that's the noise that they're putting out.
I've heard that shirt is in the back room at the club shop off of a decent source. Let's put it that way. Well, a perfect source. So how they haven't got a date is beyond me. Apparently, it's all picked. I've been quoted as hearing the away kit is the best away kit we've ever had. That's been said to me.
Interesting. Now, you've told me the fact that they have the kit in the back room before. So you have mentioned that to me before. So let's just discuss the leaked shirt. I think everyone 100%. I would put my bollocks on the line and say, both of them. In fact, just one, just in case. Fair. No, just one, just one. My left one. I will put that on the line and say that is a new shirt. Because obviously at this point, this leak came out after you told me that that they had him in the back. So in my head, that is somebody that works in the club shop and has took it home in the bag and just took a picture of it. Yeah,
and what an idiot he is, and I'd be very surprised if he's still got a job.
I'd be very surprised if he's still got a job as well. And just to give you some sort of like, it actually got leaked at Bradford as well. Someone was on the job for the shoot for the home kit. They got somebody on the job and someone leaked it. Probably Bradford did it. They did it where they went into the community and gave people the shirt, like the fans. It was a good video, good idea. I didn't work on that one though, annoyingly. But it was a good idea. They went into like people's houses of big fans and stuff and got them to wear the shirt and interviewed them and showed them like putting the shirt on, that sort of vibe. But someone took a picture of it and leaked it before they got the video done. So it does happen. So it's 100% going to be something like that.
I got an absolute roasting for putting a picture of an haircut up that had a left sock of Andre Gray in the background. You could only see the sock, and they went fucking ballistic at me. So whoever's leaked that shirt, mate, will be getting absolutely turned over.
If they find out who it is.
They will not find out who it is, I'm telling you, they'll know. And but irrelevant to that, my argument is don't give these people these opportunities, number one. I put a sock up and I got an absolute battering. I didn't even mean to do it. It was in the background. You can't even tell. It was a white sock with a claret band. Same we have every bastard year, apart from the hoop ones. But yeah, don't give them the chance by getting it out on time, mate. I'm sure the marketing gurus at our Burnley Football Club have a perfectly good marketing campaign. That is the reason they're not doing it yet. But we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see. Yeah. Well, to be fair, Bradford, for example, when they officially announced their shirt, it was just like a picture of the shirt that was sent to them by the manufacturers, because at the time they released it just after COVID. So because of lockdown, they couldn't go out and do any sort of filming and stuff. So maybe Burnley have not been able to do something because of that. But I'm interested to see what this away kit's like. I hope it's yellow. I love a yellow away kit, mate.
Do you know what? He might have told me the colour, and maybe me just half listening. But I swear to God, the quarter is the best away kit we've ever had.
Paul Seedle said, some guy said that shirt was just something he found online for cheap. I saw that comment, Paul, and it's absolutely bullshit. You have, trust me, I'm always on eBay and searching for Burnley shirts. There's no way he's bought a Burnley shirt that has the Love Bet sponsor on it and Umbro and the current crest that he's found online for cheap. Who's going to be selling that? No way. Richard Goddard says, please don't put your bollocks anywhere near the line. Fair enough, Richard. No one wants to see my bollocks. But one final question. We'll do this one quickly because I've had a text message off the missus, which is simply just a question mark.
Yeah,
so
I've
never
had as well.
Never good. When will we be back in the stands on the turf?
October.
We don't actually know. We don't know. We don't know. Someone who works for a football club, I've been told that they've said, Quilter's online. Hi, Quilter. A bit late, mate. Hopefully you've been lurking. We're about to wrap up now, though. But he says a yellow shirt will be incredible. But Bradford have been told that they will more than likely start the new season behind closed doors, and eventually they'll be able to allow people in with a reduced capacity. So I would presume it's the same for Burnley. But that's just me going off something that I've been told from another football club. I don't know if Burnley or the Premier League is going to be the same, but I would presume so.
I've heard October.
Yep, fair enough. Well, thank you to everybody for listening. If you haven't already, please do download our our sponsors app, Pitch Sport. Go there, please download them. If you want to get, Quilter said he's been here all along. Happy days, and Quilter. He puts an emoji. Maybe he's been sarcastic. We'll see. Hopefully you have though, mate. If not, one thing I'm going to say: if you have just joined us, or you joined us halfway through and you want to catch the first half, you can do on your podcast provider, because we will be putting it up there like we normally do. This video will stay on YouTube, so when this live is finished, you can watch it from the beginning. All the usual things. Paul Seedle says, hit the like button, guys and gals. I totally agree with Paul. If you don't already, please subscribe to the channel. Please follow us on all the social media things. If you haven't already, please head to theathletic.co.uk/TurfCast to get 50% off for a year, because that runs out this year. I will no longer have that. This week. I will no longer have that as of Thursday. So if you want to get that, please go and get it, and get it quickly. But that's it for me and Simon. Thank you very much, and we will see you. There's no watch-alongs coming. We'll see you for the quiz on Sunday if you're playing with the quiz. But thank you for watching, and of course, we will see you later.
Bye.